they lost their quarterback. He has a high ankle sprain, blew their opportunity. But I've seen this going around with or without Lawrence, though. Doesn't matter because they're an average team. You agree with that?
The headline last night is not even about Trevor Lawrence. They still scored 30 points.
Correct.
How do you allow Jake Browning to carve you for 400 yards passing? I was in disbelief at what I was watching.
Right. I mean, I see the weapons that he has, but still, yeah, that's
Jake Browning.
Yeah.
David, I think you're right. Certain losses mean more. Certain losses just the Jags. Whenever you're on the verge of taking them serious, they had the clown car performance against the Niners and lost like 40-3. They rebuild their equity. They go out and bleep the bed, as you so eloquently stated. I
remember when they came to Ford Field last year.
And just no show. There's something about this team. You're right, Rico. And David, look, conservatively, high ankle sprain for a franchise player like Trevor Lawrence, that's a 4-week injury conservatively.
That's why I played it. He had to grab his ankles. All right? All right. Full
David,
circle.
Please. Rico getting hit with a boat oar by his principal, and you're taking him out of context.
All right, let's get to the Jets here. There's a couple things going around with the Jets. There was a report yesterday saying that the Jets were leaning towards elevating Zach Wilson back to the role, but that he didn't want to.
He was reluctant.
Reluctant to play that role. But I think a more important story is based off what you said last week with Aaron Rodgers, Mike, because the story about him is Aaron Rodgers isn't expected to return to the field this season if the team is out of the playoff race. So catch this. He would be cleared. He would be on the 53-man roster, but he would be the emergency quarterback instead.
This is one of the greatest look-at-me attention whore routines I've ever seen, and no franchise deserves it more than those abject losers, the cousin Eddie of the NFL, the New York Jets. More so. This is why you needed to release Zach Wilson. You were never putting him out there in front of the fans if you had a brain.
The cousin Eddie.
They are. Honestly, the New York Jets, Woody Johnson should wear a dickie to the league meetings. It's an embarrassment. Well, now they want to play Zach Wilson, and Wilson's like, no, I'm not down for this.
The Jets out there putting the porta potty stuff in the
sewer.
Yeah.
100%. Hey, Clark, look at the set on this dog. That's the Jets.
Well, let's get to the AFC North because I had a question on a football today about a month ago regarding that division being the best division in the NFL and the possibility of getting maybe 3. I don't know. People were talking maybe 4 teams.
Cutscene. Every quarterback's dead.
No Watson. Pickett gone. Burrow is gone. They're going to get just one team in the playoffs now, right?
The team with the last QB standing. It's going to be Baltimore. And it's a shame because, David, it really was shaping up as one of the best divisions you've seen in a while.
For a while, everybody had a winning record. This is going to be like every game means something. It would have been kind of cool to see the entire division in the playoffs.
And instead, you end up with Joe Flacco versus now, what is it? Not Jake Plummer. What the hell's his name? Jake Browning.
Jake Browning. Yeah.
But now I look and say, what? The NFC North, you got 2 teams in the wild card right now. If the playoffs were to start right now, who would have saw that you get 3 teams in the playoffs from the NFC North?
Yeah, things have changed. While we're talking about the NFC North, let's touch on the Chicago Bears for a quick minute. This story is not so much about the Bears, but about the coach that's rumored that they may be interested in. And the Chicago Bears are already beginning, of course, their potential candidates, putting together a list in case they get rid of Matt Eberflus. But according to CBS Sports,
it's happening, isn't it?
The Bears are expected to have interest in Washington Commanders offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. So let's talk about Eric Bieniemy for a quick second. He's always been talked about, never got a job, seems to be doing a decent job as OC with the Commanders. With the potential of maybe 7 to 10 jobs being open this year, does he get a job?
I think he gets a job, but I don't think it's the Bears. I think you got to be careful because the leaks coming out right now are from the agent side. And I also think you're floating things out to gauge reaction. I just wouldn't go too far with it. I think his best chance for a job could potentially be right where he is. Does Josh Harris like what he sees? Does he want the offensive-minded coach? Does he think that Sam Howell could be a franchise QB, et cetera? But, David, it's now or never. This is going to be an offseason of record attrition. I think Jim Harbaugh's one. Bieniemy's one. If you don't get a job now, you're not getting one.
I look at the Bears, and, man, if Bieniemy can get that, it's going to be a prime job. You sit there and you look at the 2 top 5 draft picks, and then you have a quarterback. Now, if you think that Justin Fields could be your guy, you can go out and take 2 of the – you could flip one of those picks, go out and just land all the skilled players or offensive linemen or the best defensive player that you want to kind of jumpstart this team. If you want to take a franchise quarterback, you could take the quarterback and somebody else. Like, it's going to be a job that I think if you're the Bears – you're going to have the pick of whoever you want for this. It's not like the Panthers are just the opposite of that. Like, I don't know who would take that job. But the Bears, for Bieniemy, I'm happy because I've been waiting to see what this man can do because he just keeps getting passed over year after year.
So, guys, I want to introduce you to someone. We've heard of Matthew Stafford before. Well, let me introduce you to Matthew Stafford Jr. This guy's getting talked about just like Matthew Stafford used to get talked about. A former defensive coordinator in the NFL is saying Justin Herbert is he has incredible talent. He's smart, athletic, huge arm, and I totally believe he's the complete package. Here's the problem. They sit at 5-7 this year, and in his career, and I get win-loss record for the quarterback is whatever with it, he's 30-31 in his career, and he blew a giant lead in his only playoff game in January. So it's great to have all the talent, but this will be Matthew Stafford Jr. He was always talked about like that.
David,
never competed.
It's the same too organizationally. Look, the Spanoses are notoriously cheap. The Chargers are nomadic. They don't have a fan base. They have a horrendous head coach. They've made terrible personnel decisions. I mean, they drafted Quentin Johnson. The next 8 receivers after Quentin Johnson are more productive than he are. Herbert does the best that he can like Stafford did. Now, do I think he lacks a little bit of killer instinct? I do. But a lot of this is out of his control, like a lot of it was out of Stafford's control.
Yeah, I think a lot of the killer instinct, the lack of, is he doesn't know what it's like to win. Because he expects, if you fail enough times, you're just a failure, and you expect to fail. And that's where he's at right now. He needs to either go to a team that wins or get a coach that can break that cycle. I mean, it's what you're seeing right here now with Dan Campbell. And you often wonder, like, man, if Stafford was still here with Campbell, would you have had the same results? Would all of a sudden we be saying, wow, he revived Stafford's career? But, yeah, you're right. The Chargers, they don't have a fan base. He's just out there. He's getting paid in sunshine because he's not getting any wins.
You have Matthew Stafford and Matthew Stafford Jr. both out.
Hey, by the way, real quick.
Ironically enough, in the same stadium.
How is it the Jaguars have a swimming pool in their stadium but not a cart? Did you notice that Trevor Lawrence had to walk off the field last night or be carried off?
All through the tunnel as well, yeah.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, because I was really...
When did you meet Will Smith?
I was hoping that he just said, no, I'm not going off on the cart. I'm going to man this up and walk off. Because it made no sense to me. Like, so there's no cart at all. Nowhere in the stadium.
I don't know what they do down there.
But they all unplugged and not...
Visited that stadium this past summer. I visited that stadium this past summer.
What is
it?
Poor. Jim Costa drives an injury cart?
Right.
Yeah, that's a poor stadium.
Yeah, somebody go get your hybrid. Go get him.
Everything's bad down there. It's
sorry.
Jacksonville.
I'm just assuming that he just really wanted to just be tough guy. No. I'm going to walk it off.
That's great. You're worth $500 million.
Thank you.
Sit your ass in the cart.
We'll roll you up to the
right.
Well, either that
put him in a sleeping bag and roll him out of here if you have to.
Well, either that or they just didn't have any carts in the stadium.
Yeah, possible. That is in football today.
Duval.